I can see a few people saying that they cannot hear me. I hope that is fixed, or if that is still an issue, please put that on chat. So you can clone this application, which is here. So you can clone the master branch of this application. Here I have already a sample application which we would be using this in our embedded sign-in widget configuration. So you can go ahead and you can clone it if you're using GitHub CLI, or you can download it as a zip. The requirement for this app to run is you should have Node.js installed. So once you have a Node.js installed, you would be able to run this application, and as well as you will need React. So you can also go to react.dev and you can install React and keep your environment ready. So while I'm configuring this application here, so I have provided the endpoint which I'm going to use. We also need to provide user assignment. So here in the assignment, I have enabled Federation Broker mode. So anybody in this organization would be able to access this application. Generally, anybody who is visiting my website should be accessing it. So I have enabled this Federation Broker mode. Now I will need to configure one more policy, which is for my factor enrollments. So which is in Okta here in security authenticators. So here in the enrollment, if you create a policy, this is for website visitors or self-registered users, then you can assign this to the group which we created for website visitors. And here I want to keep Google Authenticator as the option which users can enroll, and all other as disabled, and create the policy. So in that case, and I am allowing the enrollment. So I have kept it as optional so that I don't want to enforce my users as mandatorily to subscribe for Google Authenticator. But in case if they want to enable 2FA, I would like them to enable it, right? So why we are not enforcing them? Because they are our customers, not our primary users. So we would not be able to enforce a security that they must go through. So in that case, we need to respect a customer's decision whether they want to enable 2FA or not. You might have seen when using customer facing applications like Gmail or Facebook, they do not make it mandatory to use 2FA, but they give you an option. If you would like to enable it, you can. Similarly, we are following the same here, and we are going to allow the authenticator enrollment for them and click on create rule. And again, as like before, I will move this to top for the time being. For your application which you create, please make sure that you are assigning this application to an authentication policy as well, which is not requiring MFA. So here for this example, this app which I have created, I have assigned this to the authentication policy which requires no MFA. So this policy only requires password for authentication. Now, one more thing, if you're using a custom domain, please make sure to select a issuer, because this would be a value which we will be configuring in the application as well. So for this demo, I'm going to use Okta URL. If this is dynamic for you, you can change it from here and make sure you're using an Okta URL. All right, so I think we are good with the configuration. Now we can go ahead and create the profile enrollment. So you will go to security, profile enrollment. In the profile enrollment, you can click on add profile enrollment policy. I have already created that for webinar, and we need to allow the self-service registration in this policy, as well as progressive profiling. So as we discussed yesterday, the progressive profiling would be any attribute which we make it optional. User may be able to specify the value later on once they have already signed up into our Okta tenant. And email verification, if you require it, you can enable it. So in that case, one user tries to sign up until they have verified the email, their account will not be accessible to Okta dashboard or any of your application. And if you also want the user who sign up to be added to any group, so we just created a group for website visitors, I would like them to be added to the website visitors group. If you have configured any hook to add them to any other database or any other microservice or any other applications apart from just the Okta, or if you want to trigger any uh, workflows, you can then configure hook again, which is not covered within this webinar, something which we can discuss later, but as of now I will just keep it disabled, and I can keep it the form header as sign up to the webinar application, and submit button as submit, and finally save this configuration. And I have already selected first name, last name, primary email as a required. This is by default. Okta would provide these as a required because in Okta the base required attributes are username, primary email, first and last name. Without that you cannot create a user, so you need to make this as a required. While mobile phone number, I have kept it as optional, so user may be able to provide, or it can be asked during the progressive profiling as well. So this is my current setup which I am going to use in the application, right? So if you have already downloaded or configured the application from the GitHub, then let me switch my screen to that application. So this is the application which we are going to work in this course. So what I have already done is I have already configured this application. It's a very basic application to demonstrate the embedded sign-in widget, how it look like. So all the configurations are already made. This is a React based application. So here we are using a node module of Okta called as Okta Auth.js. So if you go to your node modules, you would be able to see @Okta, and here we are using Okta Auth.js to configure the sign-in widget. So as a part of configuration, we need to provide what are your protected pages and what are our unprotected pages, right? So where we want user to be logged in order to be accessible, and which one can be accessed freely. So basically the home page should be accessed freely, and any other pages like if for example I have a protected pages as example, should only be accessible when a user is logged in. So we define routes within our React application to say that which application can be used uh, and which not. Just give me 1 minute. I think for the people watching on YouTube, this is not being shared, so let me quickly share them the screen. So here in the app.jsx, we are providing the routes which we would be using for our route declaration. So here I have created 3 routes. One is a protected route, which will be called as a protected in my application. One is a home page which will be accessed freely, and another one is a login page. And I have specified that within the security component. So within the security component, we have given the Okta Auth as a component which we want to use as a login module, and we have created 2 handler, one to do the authentication, and secondly to redirect back to the application the original URL from wherever the request was originated. And the configuration is done here. So we have already configured our Okta in the configured OIDC. So if you go to your if you download this application, you have config widget.js here, where you will need to provide your configuration. So here you have to provide the issuer of your application, which you can get from your Okta the client ID of your application. So I have that already set up here in another file, so I will quickly use that. I will copy and paste it here, and in my application, wherever I'm using Okta Sign-In Widget, I have to specify that from where to get that configuration, right? So here in the Okta Sign-In Widget.jsx files, which you see here, you need to specify the location of your config. So I am going to provide the config location, which will be config widget.js here, and it has all the configuration. This file has all the configuration for the sign-in widget as well as the OIDC application, which we have configured, and it will be same. Now our application is ready and we can start using the application. So in order to run this application, I will go into the folder which contains this application, and I'll use npm run, which will run the npm start, which will start the development environment of this application. It is having an issue that it is looking for component courses. So there is one route additionally added in this code which needs to be removed. So if I go to the home page or app.jsx, okay, so this line need to be commented because there is no component called resources, and this will recompile the code, and this issue should be now fixed. Yes. So for people watching on YouTube, let me quickly change the screen so that they can see what I am saying here. So now this is a very basic application. So here you can see we are currently in the home page where we do not require any authentication, but as soon as we go for protected, it will ask for authentication. So now I'm already logged into Okta in this. So what I will do is I will log out from Okta so that it does prompt me for authentication. And now if I try to go to this protected page, it will ask me for an authentication. So now I'm getting an Okta sign-in page, but again, I don't have to get redirected to Okta to get this page. I am within my application and I can see this page here, and I would be able to log in, or I would be able to register. So if I have to register, if I don't have an account, so let's say I provide a username which is webinar, last name is demonstration, email is webinar.demouser@askmeidentity.com. Mobile phone is optional, I may or may not provide, so I can click on sign up, and this will create the account, and I can set up a password. So I will set up a password of my choice. Again, you can configure a password policy for this user type of website visitor, and you can define the complexity of the password. So here I am going to be using a default password, and I can set up whether I want to use Google Authenticator or an email, which are optional. I am not forced for it. I can continue and I can skip this enrollment for now as well. So if I click on continue, I am able to log in, and it says welcome webinar demonstration. Now if I go back to my Okta org and if I try to log in to my administration, and now I'm going to the admin console to see if that user is created here. So if I go to directory groups and the group for website visitors, I can see there is one user in this group, and this is a webinar demo user which I created, and this user is currently active, and this user's profile is visible here, which is here. And now anytime this user need to log into that application, right, if I log out again and go back to my demo application, and if I go to, currently it should be logged out because it is still logged in. Okay, so I hit on log out and it should log out, and if I now log in, if I click on login, it will pop up the login page again, and I can use my webinar.demo user at askmeidentity.com, and I can specify the password which I have set up for this account, and I am logged in. So this is the demo on how to use Embedded Sign-In Widget and Profile and Enrollment together in order to create an onboarding scenario. Again, you can customize the widget. Currently this is not customized widget. This looks exactly how Okta provides it, but you can customize this widget, change the look and feel of this widget so that you can match your branding. So that is it for today. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer any questions. So there is one question from Vijay, which asks, do we need to learn JavaScript in depth for Okta? You can use any programming language with Okta. Okta SDK and widgets are available in almost all of the programming languages. But if you know JavaScript, you can create single page applications. So if you're targeting single page applications, then you can go for JavaScript frameworks like React, for which you need to know JavaScript. But if you are targeting full-fledged web applications, you're using Python, Java, that is fine as well. Do we have any other question? So in order to explore more on how we can use this embedded widget or how we can develop custom applications for Okta, we have our dedicated courses on Askmeidentity. Learn.askmeidentity.com. I'll put that link on the chat here as well, which you can explore, and you can enroll on these courses. We have courses both on self-learning as well as on a live mode. And you can also join our free community channels where you would be able to interact with our mentors. You can ask any question related with IAM, and we are happy to help you.